When we think about developing a mindfulness practice, most of us fall into at least one, if not all, of these three categories. We either want to increase positive emotions, decrease negative feelings, or we want to be able to manage our stress levels. Do you know which skill you want to focus on to improve your mental and emotional health? Let's find that out together. Hi, welcome back to Earthshine Collective. My name is Liz, and we're here to support your conscious evolution through our emotional well-being series. Mindfulness is a highly complex structure, which is why we have been exploring its underlying mechanisms separately. However, as with all things in existence, none of them work independently. This is why today we want to give you an idea of how these aspects operate synergetically to expand your consciousness. In other words, which mindfulness skill can you benefit from? Since mindfulness is a subtle form of awareness that exists beyond rational cognitive thought, its practice often involves embracing contradictions in ways that transcend logic and conventional wisdom. So keep that in mind as we move deeper into this concept. Also, a quick hint. In the outline, you will find all the links to the previous videos if you wish to explore more of that specific topic. Now, moving on. When it comes to cultivating mindfulness, most of us are trying to hone our attention and focus, become more intentional in our behaviors, and use it as a tool to develop a kinder attitude towards ourselves and others. We use mindfulness to explore deeper meaning and more presence in our lives, become less reactive, less critical of ourselves and others, and more open to taking personal accountability for our lives. Whatever our reason may be, the biggest deterrent to practicing mindfulness is not knowing where to start. So let's make this easier on you. There are two main steps underlying mindfulness that allows us to expand our consciousness. Today we'll focus on the first one, and it all starts with awareness. More specifically, an intentional desire to become more self-aware. Self-awareness is the key ingredient to change because we cannot change what we are not aware of. Self-awareness has to do with how we perceive ourselves in our environment. The more we understand what, how, or why we are feeling, thinking, and doing what we are feeling, thinking, and doing, the more expanded our perception becomes to the subtleties and details of our subjective experience, which helps us understand more of ourselves. Regulating our attention is therefore the most critical form of self-control and a powerful predictor of happiness and satisfaction in our relationships. This is because the quality of our attention and intention to be present sets the stage for what is possible. If we are grounded in the present moment, our minds are no longer busy ruminating about the past or worrying about the future. We can be more aware of our thinking patterns or metacognition, and we can observe our thoughts and assess their quality and usefulness in this moment. If we are not aware of our reactions, our judgments, of why our goals never pan out, or why our resistance to accepting what is causing us to suffer, we cannot change our attitude towards them and therefore cannot lead more fulfilling lives. One of the things that prevents us from being self-aware is mindlessness. Mindlessness refers to our thinking habits. Doing things automatically means we are unaware of them, so we keep doing them. When we are stuck in a loop of unhealthy thoughts or habits, we are dealing with automatic and recurring narratives from the past, such as the causes of our feelings and the consequences of our behaviors. This rumination is focused on and guided solely by our unpleasant past experiences, which inevitably draws our attention away from the current moment. The same happens when we worry about unpleasant future experiences. For example, people often say things like, "I got so caught up thinking about all the bad things that did or might happen, before I knew it, I was having a panic attack." In reality, neither worry nor rumination happen to you, but are something you do. They are habitual patterns of thinking that trigger tremendous anxiety and stress. So without self-awareness or the habit of reflecting on your thinking, these states will feel like indeed something that just happens to you. Mindlessness lightens the load on mindfulness by automating most of what you do and taking fast shortcuts that filter out irrelevant information and options. But without periodical self-reflection, this mode will inevitably leave you with blind spots, spending your life giving your attention away to the outside world, suppressing your emotions and distracting yourself from feeling your feelings or from reflecting on your life choices will only lead to an unfulfilled life. This unfulfillment is indicative of a life unexamined, full of judgment and suffering. Judgments are the lens that shape the feelings we develop and influence our experience. The judgmental lens we use to see the world around us is the same lens we use to look at ourselves. The moment we activate our inner critic, what we see in others is a projection of our own beliefs and not the people we are projecting into. This is why a judgment often says more about the one casting the judgment than its recipient. If something or someone, including us, is judged as unworthy, unwanted, or bad, a conflict arises between how things are, bad, and how things should be, good. Not only can this binary thinking cause you to feel drained and upset as you increase your effort to get rid of that undesirable feeling, but it also encourages you to avoid it and escape it, which, as we have discussed previously, is not a long-term solution. A judgment can only inform our reality, so it may only be true and valid for us. The same can be said about our negative self-talk. Birthed from shame in our early formative years, our inner critic may lead us to quickly lose ourselves in an endless and destructive cycle of demeaning messages in an attempt to correct our behaviors and fall in line with outside expectations. Not being aware of these reactive patterns of judgment and self-criticism means we keep recycling them in our experiences, not fully awake, alive, and free to respond skillfully to the reality of the present moment. Since most of us were not taught and therefore have no resources or practice processing the feelings that are difficult for us to accept, our automatic response is to want to get rid of those unpleasant situations and states, which immediately results in a struggle or conflict, which only leads to more suffering. By constantly resisting what is, conflict is preserved, because this resistance not only reflects the boundaries of the comfort zone we have created for ourselves, but also only exists in relation to its opposite, which is what we wish to experience instead. The challenge that we face when we focus solely on judging and avoiding unwanted feelings is that it robs us of the opportunity to train our brains to explore alternatives, because our attention is on resisting what is instead of manifesting what it could be. The same can be said when we set goals for the future or expectations about how things should be. For example, if you sit down to meditate and think, I'm going to get relaxed, or get enlightened, or control my pain, or become a better person, then you have introduced an idea into your mind of where you should be, and along with it comes the notion that you are not okay right now. If only I were more relaxed, less stressed, more intelligent, less lazy, work harder, were healthier, more this, less than that, then I would be okay. But right now, I'm not okay. Expectations are often unconscious defense mechanisms we use to alleviate anxiety and soothe our insecurities. There is nothing wrong with setting goals for the future. They can provide direction, external motivation, and a sense of meaning and accountability to achieve a future state. However, discordances occur when we lose the balance between our goals, which are a desired future feeling state, and the present moment, or what we do in the now to achieve said desired future goal. We may become so focused on reaching those future states that we forget to live in the present moment. Our life turns into a sequence of goals, which optimizes our minds to focus our attention on constantly living in the future, which does not yet exist, preventing us from enjoying life happening right now. If we perceive the present moment as being not good enough, we activate our inner critic, adding suffering to our pain. This focus on resisting our pain is what determines how much we suffer. When we can recognize how resistance to our pain shows up in our lives, we learn not to feed it. These uncomfortable events will still happen and may cause you pain, but you do have some control over how much you suffer. This is where acceptance comes in. Acceptance in mindfulness means being present with what is and coming to terms with reality, no matter how harsh or unpleasant it may be. To focus our attention on our inner experiences without judging them. Since everything fades, including this pleasant or unpleasant moment, it is important to experience it with our undivided attention, free of worry, rumination, and judgment. This openness releases our own demands or expectations of what the moment is or should be, which reduces our resistance. This form of acceptance requires self-compassion, where we choose to direct our energy towards treating ourselves with kindness and gentleness, instead of self-loathing and criticism. Self-compassion creates more space within us for something new. There is less mental chatter or need for social approval. Instead, we are invited to accept ourselves as we are in this moment with all of our limitations and suffering. Instead of focusing on other people, we become more attuned to our inner world and feel more autonomous in our motivation. This self-awareness is what signals more personal agency to our ego, which is the type of feedback our egoic mind thrives on. We understand that this general definition might give the impression that mindfulness means living in the present moment only, without thoughts about the future and all automatic patterns of thinking, but the truth is that mindfulness, like everything else in nature, it's all about balance, which is what we will talk about in the next video. So stay tuned and we'll see you there.